Beneath the beautiful, clear waters of the Philippines' western coast lies a hidden, terrifying force of nature. Silent, immense, and deadly. However, if unleashed, it could bring destruction to millions of Filipinos. This is the Manila Trench. Although this isn't as widely known as California's San Andreas Fault, it may possess the power to trigger one of the deadliest earthquakes of our time. What level of destruction could this fault unleash that earns it a place among the most dangerous seismic zones on Earth? To truly grasp the scale of the threat and how to confront it, we must first understand what makes this corner of the world so uniquely volatile. The Manila Trench is a prominent 1,500 kilometers oceanic feature located in the western Pacific, just off the coasts of Luzon and Mindoro in the Philippines. This subduction zone reaches depths of approximately 5,400 meters. To grasp just how deep that is, consider this. The average depth of the nearby South China Sea is about 1,500 meters. That means the Manila Trench dives more than 3 times deeper. In fact, if you dropped the entire Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building at 830 meters, into the trench, it would disappear 7 times over with room to spare. This subduction zone acts as the underlying force behind much of the seismic unrest in the region. It also powers a volcanic chain along Luzon's western flank, including the infamous Mount Pinatubo. In 1991, Pinatubo unleashed one of the most powerful eruptions of the 20th century. The eruption was so intense that it transformed the surrounding terrain and disrupted global climate patterns, lowering temperatures worldwide and casting a veil of ash across the atmosphere for months. What troubles scientists most isn't the tremors, it's the long, unsettling silence. For centuries, this fault line has remained dormant. But that stillness is far from reassuring. In fact, it's precisely this quiet that raises red flags, leading experts to rank it among the most dangerous fault lines in the world. Given the immense tectonic forces grinding deep below, it's deeply unsettling how the Manila Trench has remained eerily silent. In fact, since Spanish records began in the 1560s, not a single earthquake stronger than magnitude 7.6 has struck along this fault. This quiet stretch is what scientists call a seismic gap, a part of the fault that's been holding its breath, locked tight and building pressure for far longer than it should. To put this into perspective, imagine you're pulling back a slingshot and keeping it stretched for hours. The tension grows stronger and stronger, and eventually, even the smallest slip could send it snapping forward with devastating power. That's the invisible strain quietly gathering beneath the Manila Trench. The pressure from this relentless buildup of tectonic energy is immense, and when it eventually lets go, the devastation could be overwhelming. So, how severe could the devastation be to have experts genuinely fearful of its consequences? Recent research suggests that certain segments of the trench have the potential to trigger megaquakes as powerful as magnitude 8.4, or even beyond 9. The real danger of these earthquakes goes beyond their sheer strength. It's their ability to set off devastating tsunamis. For a country made up of thousands of islands like the Philippines, this scenario is a chilling reality. Violent shaking that's quickly followed by powerful waves crashing onto the shore with little to no warning. It's a deadly double blow that could overpower even the best prepared regions. Computer simulations paint a grim warning. In the worst-case scenario, tsunami waves from a Manila Trench megaquake could slam into western Philippine coastlines within 15 to 30 minutes. That's barely enough time to realize what's happening, let alone escape. In those critical moments, every second would be a matter of life or death. Models predict tsunami waves soaring between 3 and over 10 meters across parts of western Luzon, including Palawan and Mindoro. Then, there's Metro Manila, one of the world's densest megacities with over 15 million people. The violent shaking alone could bring this capital to its knees. Much of its infrastructure, especially older buildings, was built long before modern earthquake-resistant codes. At the same time, millions in the city live in informal settlements built from fragile makeshift materials. A powerful earthquake could reduce these structures to rubles in seconds, displacing countless families in an instant. But the devastation wouldn't stop at homes. It would tear through the lifelines of daily life, knocking out essentials like electricity and water. power grids could collapse within moments, casting entire regions into darkness. And with no electricity, water systems would fail too, cutting off access when people need it most. Critical infrastructure like bridges and highways could give way under the stress, severing key escape routes and delaying emergency response. The economic impact would be astounding. As a key player in Southeast Asia's growing economy, the Philippines could face a sudden standstill, businesses shuttered, trade disrupted, and vital industries brought to their knees. As one of the titans of the global business process outsourcing industry, the impact won't stop at local borders. When disaster strikes, customer service operations supporting some of the world's biggest brands will be thrown into disarray. Yet beyond the staggering monetary cost lies a far deeper, immeasurable tragedy. It's the lives that will be lost, the families torn from their homes, and the sorrow that no amount of aid can ever mend. For those who remain, the ache of losing loved ones will become a permanent shadow. With all these grim scenarios, the question now is, how can the Philippines ready itself to reduce the devastation when the Manila Trench finally ruptures? With all the modern technologies that are now available to us, you might think that it's now easier to predict when it will happen. But sadly, this remains one of nature's most closely guarded secrets. Scientists can detect the mounting pressure beneath the Earth's crust and pinpoint the fault lines ready to rupture. Yet the question of when still eludes even the brightest minds. Preparedness. This is still the best weapon in our hands. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, known as PHIVOLCS, is the country's lead agency in monitoring and responding to natural hazards like volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tsunamis. They've installed a quiet network of GPS stations that are constantly at work, picking up the tiniest shifts in the Earth's crust, so small they're almost impossible to feel. Meanwhile, satellites high above are watching too, tracking subtle changes in the shape of the land around the Manila Trench. Together, these tools are giving scientists a clearer picture, helping them understand just how serious the threat really is. Through rigorous studies, scientists have learned that the Manila Trench tends to break in cycles that can last hundreds or even over 1,000 years. That means we might be closer to the next big one than we realize. What's even more worrying is that the Manila Trench isn't working alone. It's connected to a tangled web of fault lines running through the islands. If a megaquake hits the trench, it could trigger these other faults too, setting off a chain reaction that impacts a wide region. For years, the Philippines has focused its preparations on the big one, a powerful magnitude 7.2 earthquake projected to hit the West Valley Fault. However, as scientists warned, the potential rupture of the Manila Trench could trigger an even more destructive seismic event. Even with constrained resources, the Philippine government is taking decisive action. Refusing to be caught unprepared, it has stepped up investments in disaster response and healthcare infrastructure. They're building the resilience needed to face a potentially catastrophic earthquake head-on. Central to this preparation is reinforcing the strength of buildings. Stricter building codes have been implemented to ensure new constructions can withstand strong quakes, while many older buildings have been retrofitted to improve their resilience and protect lives when disaster strikes. But no plan can succeed without something deeper, a culture of preparedness that runs through every person, every family, every business, and every government agency. In true Filipino fashion, even in the shadow of danger, there's a spark of hope. And now, a glimmer of opportunity. What was once seen only as a source of devastation, the Manila Trench, has revealed a surprising secret. Scientists from the University of the Philippines have uncovered something extraordinary beneath its depths: gas hydrates. These are crystal-like formations made of water and methane, a highly flammable gas used as fuel. Preliminary research reveals that an area spanning around 15,400 square kilometers, comparable to the size of Palawan, may be hiding a substantial reserve of gas hydrates, buried just 200 to 500 meters below the seafloor. For a consumption-driven economy in search of sustainable energy solutions, this concealed resource holds the potential to revolutionize the country's energy landscape. The potential windfall from this hidden energy source could do more than boost the economy. It could power a national transformation. With the right investment, These revenues could drive the development of cutting-edge technologies and critical infrastructure to help the country brace for the moment the Manila Trench finally ruptures. Because if there's one thing history has proven, it's that Filipinos don't just endure adversity, they rise to meet it head-on. Time and again, in the face of nature's most brutal trials, their spirit doesn't falter. It shines even brighter. Surrounded by breathtaking landscapes that both challenge and inspire, they draw strength from the very soil that shakes beneath them. No matter how many times they fall, they rise stronger, every single time. But, what are your thoughts about Manila Trench? If you love our story, please subscribe to be part of our community. As always, until the next one.